Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today we'll be discussing chapter 17, networking and threads. And I will represent a full project that I did relating to this chapter called networking and threads. So first of all, let's get into the networking concepts of this chapter. um, Java uses sockets for client server and communication, and we have a server socket which waits for the incoming connections. Then the socket connects to the server using an IP address and port. Then the data travels through an input stream and the output stream. Now let's get into the threads in Java. We know that the threads allow multiple users to chat simultaneously, which will be what I'll show you guys after I'm done with the slides. Each client runs in its own thread, which is a client handler method that we'll use. Then we prevent from blocking the server and can handle many users. And then we have the method called new thread client start. So every time I refresh my chat, I have a new client which will be added into my server, right? Now let's get into our chat application architecture. We have a server which will listen for the client's connection, and we'll have the client server chat which connects and send messages to the server. Then the server broadcasts messages to all clients and structure client, as you can see. Then I have the code overview. I have the chat server.java, which uses the server socket to listen for connections and creates a client handler threads for each client. Then I have the chat client.java, which connects to a server via the socket, then sends and receives chat messages. Right now, let's get into the code. Now we're gonna start with our chat client. What am I doing? I'm creating a class called chat client, and I'm connecting it to the chat server, and I'm using a socket which will allow the user to send and receive messages in real time. The program will use the threads so that the income messages can be displayed on the server side on the user types. So I'm connecting the server running the local host. As you can see, localhost 127, which is the port 5000, right? I have the IP address and the port 5000. And what am I doing? I'm inputting the stream which reads the messages from the server, right? As you can see, I have buffered reader in. I'm declaring it to buffered reader new input stream reader socket.get input stream. And after that, what am I doing here? I am sending a message to the server regarding it, that it must open, and it becomes true. Then I have a scanner which reads the user's input from the keyboard when I type. I'll show you now. And then let's go down. Now I have a thread. I'm creating a thread for receiving messages. It has the background thread continuously which listens for my messages coming from the server, and it will print them to the console. Then it runs independently from the main thread. So as you can see, I'm creating a new thread, and it keeps reading messages from the server here. As you can see, this is the code. It reads the messages. To show that it reads the messages, this is the output that we get here. I'll just rerun it so that you can see again. I'm catching the IO exception. This happens in our what is this, our server side. It will say connection closed with the other client, and I'm also creating a main thread for sending messages. So we are continuously reading the user's input from the keyboard, which sends it to the Java, to the server, so that everyone can see it. So while using the while loop through condition, it will system out print in U, which is where the users have to put their client names, and it will loop through to the other server and show that it is connected and the client has successfully sent a message. So now I'm going to refresh this terminal so that you can see what I'm doing. So now what is happening is that the chat client is refreshed, and I still have my other clients in here, right? It will say client disconnected. Now we're adding a new client. This method, it is used and it is called client handler. Now let's go to our chat client and we put in another name for our server, for our client. Let's put in Jessica, right? We put in Jessica. As you can see, it will show that it will keep reading the messages from the server. To show that it read the message and it went through, it will show this speech bubble. So if we can go to our chat server here, we see that a new client has been connected and Jessica has sent me a request, right? Now we want to type a small message showing that the client is visible, right? We're going to say, I have some work for you, right? Now what is it going to do? It's going to keep reading the message again from the server and send it from the chat client and send it to the chat server. Enter. It shows that it is me. Now the client has sent what? The message, I have some work for you, right? Now let's see what is happening in our chat server. What is happening in my chat server is that it is a simple multi-client chat server which uses a socket and threads, each connected to the client, and it is handled by its own thread, allowing multiple users to chat simultaneously, right? Now, what we're doing, we are creating a chat server class. The port number where the server listens for the connections is called 5000, right? Right? We are listening to chat port 5000, and we have a thread safe set to store all the connected clients output streams, right? Then I have my static void, which shows that the server is running on port 5000, and we are creating a saver socket to listen to our client's connection, which is 5000, right? And then we are doing an infinite loop which keeps the server running and accepting new clients, right? Which is this: wait until a client connects. It waits for the client to connect. It doesn't shut down the server completely. That's why we get in this client disconnected, connection reset, we put another client, right? And then we have the confirmation of the message, which is system out printing new client has been connected, which shows that the server is working properly and a new client, the message has been read properly and it is sent to the chat server, right? Then we are creating a new thread to handle the client's communication. This is the method that we use that I showed you in my past slide. This is the example that we used. New thread client handler, which handles what? It handles the client's communication. Then we are creating an inner class, client handler. Inside this inner client handler, we are handling the communication between the server and one specific client, which runs on its own threads so that multiple clients can also chat at the same time, right? Then we're creating a class called a private class called client handler, which extends to the thread. What are we doing here? It is the client socket connection, and then private print writer, it sends the data to the client, and then private buffered reader, it reads the data from the client, right? And then constructor gets the socket for the connected client, client handler socket. Then we have the public void. What are we doing? We are creating an input and output streams for the clients, right? Then we are adding this client's output stream to the set, which is what we used in our code. Then we have the stream message. what is happening here? We are continuously reading the message from the client. We're using the while loop, which is now, then it shows the message on the console that the message has been sent successfully. As you can see in my console, I have this emoji which shows that what the message has been successfully sent. And then here, what am I doing? I'm sending the message to all connected clients, right? And I'm catching the IO exception for in case if something goes wrong. For example, let's say I refresh this, right? It will say process finished, and what will we say? Client disconnected, right? What it does is that it can also remove the client from the active set when they disconnect. And then we are closing the socket safely using the try catch IO exception method, right? As you can see now, we're getting the final message, client disconnected, connection reset. So that was the overview of my app. So the conclusions, what I learned is I learned about sockets, networking, and threads. We are building a real-time console-based chat app and gained insight into the client-server architecture. And in the future, I'll use ideas like a GUI chat, which will have a file transfer and a deployment. Stay tuned for more of my content, and I hope you enjoyed watching my vid and you learned something from this vid. Hope you click that subscribe button to view more of my content.